Hello there, you're watching All 24 News live from Algiers. Coming up next are your headlines. India's BJP spokeswoman Nupur Sharma made comments during a TV debate offensive to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, in which sparked outrage within Muslim countries who responded by boycotting Indian products. Gunmen opened fire on worshippers and detonated explosives at a Catholic church in southwestern Nigeria, leaving dozens dead, and among them were many children. Ukrainian troops have beaten back Russian forces to control half of the flashpoint of the eastern city of Severodonetsk as President Volodymyr Zelensky visited the front line in the Donbas region to support his country's troops. South Korea and the United States said they fired 8 surface-to-surface missiles early on Monday, responding to a barrage of short-range ballistic missiles launched by North Korea. Hello again, I'm Karim Fazakari, and those were today's headlines. First in our news, India's ruling party said on Sunday it had suspended BJP spokeswoman Nupur Sharma in response to comments she made during a TV debate about the Prophet Muhammad. The BJP said in a statement on its website that the party respected all religions and that the BJP strongly denounces insults of any religious personalities of any religion. The Bharatiya Janata Party whipped Nupur Sharma and Naveen Kumar Jindal after hashtags calling for a boycott of Indian products began trending on Twitter in Arab countries in response to alleged inflammatory remarks against Prophet Muhammad, may peace be upon him, by the Bharatiya Janata Party spokesperson Nupur Sharma and Naveen Kumar Jindal. Jindal's primary membership in the party has been cancelled, while Nupur Sharma has been suspended with immediate effect. Meanwhile, big box stores in Kuwait, and other Arab countries removed Indian products off shelves after these shameful remarks against Prophet Muhammad, may peace be upon him.
We boycott Indian products because they insulted the Prophet. As Kuwaiti Muslim people, we don't accept to insult the Prophet.
Every Muslim in every country must boycott Indian products. Since this is a subject touching the Prophet, thus Muslims must refuse Indian products for our reply to be taken into account.
To a different matter now, gunmen opened fire on worshippers and detonated explosives at a Catholic church in southwestern Nigeria, leaving dozens feared dead. The attacks targeted the St. Francis Catholic Church in Ondo State, just as the worshippers gathered on Pentecost Sunday, among them dead children. More details in this report by Sofian Kenturi.
After stampede at church in Nigeria's southern river state killed at least 31 people on Saturday, gunmen assaulted the Catholic Church in Nigeria's Ondo State during mass, killing at least 50 people and injuring many more.
Finished the mass already. The priest is already on procession to come out. Then I get outside. I was trying to say, people, please give way, priest is coming. Then the man just came in, very tall man like this. He just shot gun straight to the church straight. If to say aim me, he will kill me. And then I ran inside, tried to close the gate. And I tell people, please, oh yeah,
A doctor at the hospital in Owo claimed that 15 dead had been taken to the Federal Medical Center in Owo and St. Louis Catholic Hospital. The incident was denounced by President Muhammadu Buhari, who described it as heinous. The assailants' identities and motivation were not immediately known. According to local media, gunmen opened fire on attendees and detonated explosives at the church when there were women and children among these massacred. Such attacks are uncommon in southern Nigeria. Meanwhile, the armed gangs have attacked and kidnapped for ransom in Africa's most populous country, especially in the northwest. Following the incident, Ondo State Governor cut short a trip to Abuja, Nigeria's capital, and returned to Ondo, and he claimed that government will devote every possible resources to tracking down and punishing these criminals.
At least 49 people have died and more than 100 are injured after a huge fire swept through a container depot in Bangladesh. The blaze triggered multiple explosions when it broke out on Saturday night in the southeastern town of Setakunda. Firefighters have been struggling to get the flames under control after blast went off in a container full of chemicals. The explosions shook the neighborhood, shattering the windows of houses more than 2 miles away. South Korea and the United States said they fired 8 surface-to-surface missiles early on Monday, responding to a barrage of short-range ballistic missiles launched by North Korea on Sunday. Washington and Seoul officials also recently warned that Pyongyang appeared to be ready to resume nuclear weapons tests for the first time since 2017. South Korea's new president vowed to take a tougher stance against North Korea, and early Monday may have been a glimpse of that approach.
North Korea's nuclear and missile threats are getting sophisticated. It fired various ballistic missiles yesterday. North Korea's nuclear and missile programs are reaching the levels that threaten not only the peace of the Korean Peninsula, but also in Northeast Asia and the world.
Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese heralded a deepened relationship with Indonesia, pledging stronger cooperation on trade, security and climate change during a meeting with President Joko Widodo on Monday. Albanese also reiterated a $470 million Australian dollar pledge for overseas development in Indonesia and Southeast Asia. To the United Kingdom now, the British Prime Minister Boris Johnson will face a vote of no confidence today evening. The rules stipulate that 15% of the Conservative MPs must submit a letter of no confidence to Sir Graham Brady, chair of the Backbench 1922 committee, in order for a ballot to be held. However, despite not having confirmed whether they have submitted letters, more than 30 Conservative MPs have publicly urged Boris Johnson to resign amid the fallout from revelations about Downing Street parties held during the COVID-19 lockdown. The British Prime Minister now needs half of his parliamentary colleagues to vote for him to survive being removed as a leader. Lebanon warned Zionist entity on Sunday against any aggressive action in disputed waters, where both hope to develop offshore energy after a ship arrived off the coast to produce gas for occupiers. President Michel Aoun said any activity in the disputed area would amount to an act of aggression and a provocation after the arrival of the vessel operated by London-based Energean. To the Russia-Ukraine file now. President Volodymyr Zelensky visited the cities of Lysychansk and Solidar after earlier visiting the southeastern Zaporizhia region. British Defense Secretary Ben Wallace announced that the UK will send its first long-range missiles to Ukraine despite a threat by Russian President Vladimir Putin to the West against the delivery of these kind of weapons to Kiev.
After I went with the head of my office to the east, we were in Lysychansk, we were in Solidar. I am proud of everybody I met with, everyone I shook hands with, everyone with whom I connected with and had expressed my support to. We brought something for the military. I will not elaborate in detail on this, and there is something we brought from them to you. This is important. We brought you confidence.
And in the same context, Britain's defense ministry said that early on Sunday, Russian air-launched cruise missiles struck rail infrastructure in Ukraine capital Kiev. President Vladimir Putin has warned he would strike new targets in Ukraine if Western nations supply the country with longer-range missiles. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov's visit to Serbia has been cancelled after countries around Serbia closed their airspace to his aircraft. A senior foreign minister source told the Intertax news agency on Sunday. The source confirmed a Serbian media report that said Bulgaria, North Macedonia and Montenegro had closed their airspace to the plane that would have carried Moscow's top diplomat to Belgrade on Monday. Wales ended their 64-year wait for a place in the World Cup finals as they beat Ukraine 1-0 on Sunday to end the war-torn nation's hopes of reaching Qatar. An own goal from Ukraine winger Andrei Yarmolenko, who headed a Gareth Bale free kick into his own net, decided the contest. It was a cruel way for Ukraine's qualification effort to end with Alexander Petrakov's side, who beat Scotland in the playoff semi-final again, showing a level of football which would have certainly merited a place in November's 32-team tournament. With half of the team not having played competitive club football since the Russian invasion in February, and with their nation's tragedy never far from their minds, Ukraine deserve huge credit for coming up so close to making the finals for the second time in the country's history as an independent nation.
I think we did everything that we could. But I really want the people in Ukraine to remember our team and our efforts. I want to say sorry that we didn't score, but this is sport. And this is how it happens. I'm lost for words. I don't know what to say. It's sport.
No, I felt it's an unbelievable feeling. If you could see the scenes in the changing room now, it's incredible. It was a stressful game. It was. I thought Ukraine were excellent. I really did, and they didn't surprise me when we watched the Scottish game. We thought they were excellent and thoroughly deserved the win, and we knew we had to be at our complete best tonight to get the result, and we had to dig deep at times. But it's an incredible feeling, and I'm proud of the players and the supporters. I thought from the first minute again, they were magnificent.
To other world news now. Kazakhstan voted on a constitutional reform on Sunday promoted by its president as a step toward liberalizing the Central Asian Republic, though it would still leave key powers in his hands. More in this report.
More than 68 of voters cast their ballots by 10 p.m. local time, according to the Central Election Commission. Above the required 50% threshold, results are expected on Monday.
I believe the changes are minimal, but I think that in any case, we must take small steps towards a new vision.
Kazakhstan's President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev talked to journalists at the all-national referendum on Sunday and said that the commission had been formed to investigate what he called a terrorist attack on the state, referring to the events of civil unrest in January 2022.
We insist it was a terrorist attack aimed at undermining the government rule. That's why we are talking of holding accountable all of those without exclusion who have anything to do with this, whether it was a direct participation, a complicity, or instigation, or moreover, the organization. The operation against the state was very well planned, and it was managed by very well prepared professionals.
Tokayev has described the proposed changes as a move from a super-presidential system to a presidential republic with a strong parliament. Other critics says the reform is cosmetic. It does a signal reversal from a decades-long trend towards strengthening presidential powers. Complained the proposed changes to more than 30 articles of the constitution were too complicated.
We were warned there was going to be a referendum literally a month ago, and over 90% of our society doesn't know or understand what a referendum is.
Analysts said that the referendum was in part of a response to January's unrest, which started as a protest against a fuel price hike and evolved into a broad display of public discontent with the system that concentrates power and wealth in the hands of a few. Cuts between major economic and security partner Russia and the West, which has invested hundreds of billions of dollars in its giant oil fields and mines. Kazakhstan is trying to navigate a way through the Ukraine crisis without angering either side.
Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei said Saturday that Iran took the oil from 2 Greek tankers last month in helicopter launch raids in the Arabian Gulf. The confiscations were in retaliation to Greece's role in the U.S. seizure of crude oil from an Iranian-flagged tanker the same week in the Mediterranean Sea over violating Washington's harsh sanctions on the Islamic Republic. This year's World Environment Day celebrations were under the theme Only One Earth, with a focus on living sustainably in harmony with nature. Hosted by Sweden, which announced a ban on issuing new licenses to extract coal, oil, and natural gas. Let's follow more insights in this report by Hossein Burkan.
World Environment Day official celebrations were held in Stockholm. On this occasion, the host country Sweden announced a ban on issuing new licenses for the extraction of coal, oil, and natural gas from 1st July this year to protect people and the planet.
2022 must also be a turning point. We must show that we hear the call from science and from the young generation. We must learn the lessons of the past and apply our efforts in the present in order to secure a sustainable future for all.
Tens of millions of people around the world joined global conversation on social media demanding urgent action to conserve and restore the environment. Tens of thousands organized their own activities, including the planting of millions of trees and taking actions to highlight that there is only one Earth. Inger Anderson, Executive Director of the UN Environment Programme, for her part, affirmed that science has always showed us the path, which is ending fossil fuels.
We know what to do. The science has told us we have to end fossil fuels. We have to restore nature to its full glory. We have to transform our food systems. We have to make our cities green. We have to make them livable and no carbon.
2022 marks the 49th time World Environment Day has been celebrated. It was established following the UN Conference on the Human Environment in Stockholm in 1972 and is celebrated annually on June 5th, with a different country hosting it each year. This year's theme, Only One Earth, mirrors the theme of the first World Environment Day in 1973.
And to talk more about such event, I am joined live here on All24 News Studio by Ali Qratbi, Cooperation Director at the Algerian Ministry of Environment. Mr. Ali Qratbi, thank you so much for joining our studios. First, my question is, do any, developing countries benefit from such initiatives whatsoever?
Thank you very much, and honored to be your guest here in this plateau, speaking about this very important topic. So, as you know, the environmental diplomacy has been created during the 1972 after the conference, Stockholm Conference, because the structure of how we deal with environmental issues and the environmental crisis was not the same before 1972 and after. After we have seen the creation of many multilateral environmental agreement. Some of them treat climate, some of them treat biodiversity laws, and some of them treat desertification and so on. So we have assisted the evolution and the progress of this concept of environmental diplomacy. And recently, after Paris Agreement, we have seen also the climate diplomacy, which is a new concept to show how we deal with the best way with the climate crisis.
Very well, indeed. And concerning compensation plans and efforts that, let's say, these developing countries are making in order to, let's say, lessen the damage, the deterioration vis-a-vis the environment, are developing countries coordinating efforts in order to perhaps ask the West to help? I mean, these industrial countries and developed countries are the ones polluting the environment. So what's it to our developing countries?
Yes, of course, the historic responsibility is not the same from country to other country. For example, from developed countries and developing countries. So today, developing countries are asking developed countries to provide them with finance resources so that they can finance the project and many programs in order to fix some environmental issues in their territory and in their national level. So they consider that the cause is developed countries due to the industrial activities in the past. So in the framework of multilateralism, you find many groups, UN groups. You have the African groups, you have Arab groups, you have G77 plus China, and you have LDCs groups. So in the framework of COPs, during the COPs of different conventions, so we see a negotiation about many topics, and the finance is crucial need, and it's also considered as a key item in the agenda of these COPs.
And what about the national effort in preserving the environment?
In the framework of international cooperation, we are trying to master, and we are trying to enhance synergies between the ongoing process. I can give some of them. You have the global biodiversity framework. So some ongoing processes are taking place on nowadays. So you have, for example, from today, the COP BRS, Bal Rotterdam Stockholm, which treats the toxic waste, are taking place in Geneva, and we have three representatives from our institution there, and we have for example UNFCCC, and you have UNCCDB. So the different conventions which have been created in order to find environmental solutions. So what we are doing, we are trying to optimize our and maximize our participation in the different international conference. We are trying to improve our performance in terms of negotiation and in terms of financial access. We are trying to increase the number of our partners and try to prospect to find some new partners due to some emerging issues. We are trying to increase the number of memorandum of understanding and in the framework of bilateral cooperation. So all these activities and all these efforts, we are doing so in order to improve the quality of our cooperation, in order to find some solution to our environmental issues. And we are looking forward for a new way of international cooperation in the field of environmental protection and sustainable development.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ali Qadbi, for all these clarifications. Moving on now, intense thunderstorms through France left 1 dead and 14 injured, according to local authorities. Residents of southwest France posted photos online of hail the size of tennis balls, and drivers in the Paris region shared images of flooded roads and daytime skies blackened by thunder clouds. According to the utility company Enedis, thousands of households remained without electricity on Sunday after the storm struck on Saturday. Hailstones up to half a meter high piled up during intense storms across southern and western Germany, the Bavarian town of Weiler. So much hail fell in such a short amount of time that several roads were completely blocked by ice. The strong hailstorms temporarily converted many streets, squares, and even gardens into winter vistas. The South African embassy here in Algiers held a press conference on the project of solidarity with Western Sahara and the Sahrawi people. The project consists of supporting education for the Arab Sahrawi Republic. Arawn Usama Ayadi was there and came up with this report.
The Embassy of South Africa in Algeria hosted a solidarity project which promotes for the support of African countries for the Sahrawi people.
Sahrawi learners are taught under substandard learning environment with inadequate infrastructure, including classes, administrative buildings, air conditioners, and furniture.
The project was under the slogan of people-to-people solidarity with the Sahrawi people who continue their resistance against occupying Morocco. The event was attended by a number of representatives of African embassies and countries wishing an end to the Moroccan occupation in Western Sahara.
Attending this press conference organized in order for my colleagues of the Embassy of South Africa to hand over in-kind and generous gifts of school material for the children of Western Sahara.
The donation project was to transfer technical learning material and school supplies to the school of Soweto, which is named after the South African city symbolizing resistance and freedom.
The victims of Soweto Primary School, situated at Osset Wilaya in the Sahrawi refugee camp in Tindouf, was identified as a possible beneficiary of the project as part of South Africa's solidarity efforts and contribution towards promoting access to education among the Sahrawi children.
Ourselves as a region on the question of Western Sahara. We took a lot of decisions, but I remember clearly that one of the decisions taken was to ensure that humanitarian relief for Western Sahara should continue.
The donations were received through voluntary contributions by staff members of the embassies of African countries in Algeria. In addition to Algerian company Our Resources, the transfer of the collected school material will take place on the 10th of June, waiting for the next phase of the donation project, which started in 2021 next July. It's worth mentioning that the donation initiative came after identifying the inadequate schooling infrastructure in the camps of the Sahrawi people.
And with this, ladies and gentlemen, our program comes to a close. This is Karim Faz Zachary signing off. Thank you for tuning in, and bye-bye.